was nothing I could do. I had failed. I was helpless, trapped, nothing more than a vessel for whatever darkness lay harboured within this onyx obelisk. I'd been lord here, an unwitting pawn in a much older game, one that held the balance of the entire solar system, if not universe, within its grasp. If only I hadn't have answered that distress beacon. If only I had listened to my gut instinct and kept to the outlying brief we had been given, none of this might now be happening. But alas, perhaps I deserved this. My own good nature was to be my own downfall. It had been like any ordinary day, a routine I'd become accustomed to over my many months, having since arrived here on this god-forsaken asteroid, a tiny dot, an insignificant floating ball of rock, hidden away, easily overlooked and dismissed. Perhaps that was why, and how this thing that had been forgotten for so long by its creator or species deemed it too dangerous to keep in their own backyard, that they had left it in ours. Yet it was part of human nature to be curious, to investigate and explore. The three most damning traits, they caused more harm than good, and often led to someone else cleaning up the mess left in their wake. So here it is, a final message, a hope, maybe a prayer, for what I can only hope will be a quick death. Perhaps I might be able to fight back, yet I already feel this darkness creeping into my mind, its tendrils of suffocating nothingness, like that of a void, wrapping around me. My name is Bethany Lombard, and this is how I died. The four of us had been selected by the Terran Earth government for a long extended mission to an asteroid deep within the belt. It would be a remote posting, each given a sector and strict orders to keep to our own. I was what you might call a theorist. It was no secret Earth was running out of resources. Countries were fighting more, and private companies were setting up space race vessels at an alarming rate. All eyes were focused on Mars and Luna, the Earth's moon. Yet scratched beneath the surface, and the real truth lay there. Crops were failing, sea levels rising, and the worst of all, the planet was heating up. All-out nuclear war, which had once only been paper talk, was now a reality, and it would only take one poke of the bear across the word at the wrong time to set the tinderbox alight. Yet the resources needed to maintain the rush of shuttles and ships racing to leave Earth were also running thin, and the asteroid belt proved a goldmine of deposits ripe for the taking. We weren't the only team out here. Many others had been assigned other rocks and various points along the belt. I'd been in love with the stars and space since I was a little girl, always looking up, wondering about the cosmos and the great beyond. Evenings had been my favourite part of the day, getting to look up at the twinkling lights dancing across the heavens, searching for the brighter lights which denoted the planets and the moon, our celestial neighbour. Many had theorized how the moon had come into being. Some claimed a protoplanet crashed into the young Earth, with both merging together and the excess matter flung out to form Luna. Others claimed the moon was wandering and just happened to get caught. Yet some claimed the moon to be hollow, with many papers published trying to back up their claims. So there I was, sat with our small unit, wondering, theorizing, why we'd been told to keep radio silence from each other. Perhaps it was to keep us focused. Maybe it was to prevent some type of insurrection. Or just maybe, if I just scratched beneath the surface, I'd uncover a secret the Terran government was trying to hide. During my quiet long months, all I could do was theorize as I toiled away and was thanked in a computerized transmission for a job well done, and that my pay was being backdated upon returning to Earth. I had managed to squirrel away notepads and pencils for the journey, and by now my small facility was starting to amass notes stuck to walls that Cam, the only source of comfort during my time here, had started to complain. Employee 163. To date, you have placed over 400 pieces of paper on the walls. Cam informed me. Welcome to the life of a theorist, Cam. Adding the piece to the wall. May I inquire as to what you are theorizing? Cam asked. What we're really doing out here, and why we are asked to maintain radio silence. It was requested by the sponsor and by the Terran government. Ah, so it's only a request, not set in stone. Per contract, if any transmission is logged to another, I must make a note to which pay may be revoked upon return to Earth. Sounds a bit extreme and secretive to me. This was how most of our conversations had gone, with Cam's ever-increasing resolve that I should break radio silence. Then my pay would be forfeit. That was even if we would ever get back. I was starting to wonder about that very issue, and it had been in my mind for a while. Call me paranoid, or having gone slightly mad from the loneliness of being devoid of human contact, but I honestly believed that somewhere in the back of my mind we weren't going home, and Cam knew it. I'd been out on my rover, surveying for some new mineral deposits, when Cam reported in. Employee 163. I am detecting a transmission. However, I am again to remind you of the contact. Is it localized? I asked, my mind getting curious. The transmission is coming from the region of Sector 162. Play it, Cam, and don't you dare remind me of the contract. Doing as requested, Cam played the transmission. To anyone that can hear this, I found something. Come to my coordinates. I repeat, I found something. I sit there for a few minutes, my right index finger tapping my mouth, thinking, debating. Was it possible my theories were accurate? I locked onto the transmission coordinates. They were half a day's travel, but if I made good time, I could make it. My mind started racing with whatever had been found, a new mineral deposit, the likes of which never been seen before. Or was this something that the Terran government had known about and was keeping secret, having wanted to find it out here? Along the journey, Cam kept reminding me about the breach of policy and that my contract was in jeopardy. But that was the least of my concerns. At the moment, I needed to know what had been found. As I arrived at the coordinates, I could make out that they were coming from a crater located in a rather strangely flat area. The only cliffs were miles away, and any form of impacts from other smaller meteorites or asteroids were non-existent. It was as if this region was untouched or protected. I could tell this crater had been visited before due to the amount of rover tire tracks both coming and going from the crater, and it was as I crested over the ridge to descend into the depth itself that startling sight came into view. There, as if rising up to greet me, was a black onyx-like obelisk, with the rover parked nearby. Its occupant, the caller, employee 162, who had been working around it, now looked in my direction as I approached them, giving me a wave in the process. As I pulled alongside the rover, I took in the sheer size and scale of the obelisk, rising high into the crater as if pointing to the stars. I could make out carvings almost like hieroglyphs adorning it, the language I had no hope of understanding. Yet 162 stood touching it, almost caressing it. "What's going on here?" I asked, stepping out from my rover. "Isn't it beautiful?" "She wants to show us things," 162 spoke. "She?" I inquired, worried about the mental state of 162. "This is what we were sent up here to find, to free her, and to help her leave this place." The more they spoke, the more I was starting to worry whatever had happened to 162 had happened over time, since they had found the obelisk, their sanity having been shattered and warped. "I think we need to leave." "I don't think we were supposed to find this," I said, seeing the dark onyx-like obelisk no longer as a curiosity, but as a dark, foreboding entity. "No! I won't leave her. She needs us," 162 snapped, grabbing a hold of me. I tried to fight as they tightened their grip, pulling me towards the obelisk. I started prying his fingers, which seemed to have an unnatural strength to them. In a desperate attempt, I punched his helmet, which only knocked him back for a second, but it was enough time to break free. I rushed for my rover, but he again grabbed me. I turned to face him, seeing almost cold black eyes looking at me, devoid of any life. I took hold of his helmet, unclipping his latches, hoping that whatever might have taken control of 162 would perish, and that this would be a mercy for 162. Yet, as I prized off their helmet, as I fell to the ground, they stood looking at me with no emotion, as they threw me against the rover, the force sending me spiraling as my vision went dark. The next thing I knew, I'd been secured to the obelisk, with 162 looking at me. I could see an inky black void creeping around me, starting to suffocate me. My mind as if becoming one and starting to understand the obelisk. This was no mere beacon. It was a consciousness, one which had destroyed its very world, having been hell-bent on destruction and conquest of the entire cosmos. The only survivors of their race having locked them away, separating their physical and astral forms into the obelisk before destroying their world, hoping to destroy, bury the secret. But now it was free, and I was to be the host, a new body for it, and the cosmos was its plaything. The last thing I felt before I became locked in my own mind was the hum of the obelisk as a blue pulse started emitting from it.